How's it going everybody, and welcome back to a new video. Today we are showcasing a mod called Aquamirae, which adds a range of different features into Minecraft, including new structures, mobs, and more, all themed around the ocean. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's get into the good stuff. The ice maze is a big part of this mod, as it adds new structures along with new mobs spawning there. There are two parts in this place, the surface and underwater. The surface of the ice maze consists of different structures. These structures hold a lot of loot inside, protected by pillagers, so if you want it, you will have to fight for it. During the day, you will have to keep mindful of pillagers attacking you, but at night, it becomes more dangerous. New mobs including moors, tortured souls, and golden moths can be found here at night. A new plant can also spawn here, and this is called the Wisteria nivis, which can be made into green dye. The underwater part is slightly different to the surface, as there aren't as many structures that generate. Before you can even enter this part of the ice maze, you must obtain 3 bolt armour, otherwise the water will freeze you. The chestplate, leggings and boots can be crafted, however the helmet can only be obtained from killing the main boss of this mod, the ghost of Captain Cornelia, which we will go on to later. This area of the ice maze can have new plants which generate, called Elodia, which can be made into cyan dye, and Oxygelium, which is used in a range of different ways. Whilst in the underwater ice maze, you may come across anglerfish and spinefish, but whenever an anglerfish does spawn, it has a 0.5% chance for a mother of the maze to spawn with it, which is a mini boss which we will also go on to later. A structure that may appear in the ice maze is a ship, and these massive structures are again guarded by pillagers. When you enter the ship, you will find chests and barrels filled with loot, which may include the Dagger of Greed. You will also come across imprisoned villagers in cages and cells in the main body of the ship. If you make your way to the captain's cabin, you can find a logbook on a lectern, and it can give you a bit of lore about the mod and a little information regarding what happened to Captain Cornelia and her crew. If you find a pillager in the captain's cabin, then killing it will give you the item Shellhorn, which will summon the ghost of Captain Cornelia. This item can only be used when you are in an ice maze with water nearby, as well as access to the surface. Another type of structure you may come across is the outpost, and these tall towers are actually built from ship parts. Again, this place is guarded by pillagers, so you will need to fight your way through to collect all the loot inside. Another logbook can be located in this structure, and gives even more lore to the mod about what happened to the original crew. A final structure that can be found in the ice maze is the shelter, which is located in the underwater part. This is the largest of the structures and can be travelled to by a well located somewhere on the surface of the ice maze. This place is probably one of the hardest structures to conquer due to the difficulty of the mobs. Tortured souls, eels, and many types of villagers spawn down there. You will also find a new type of chest called the frozen chest, which can only be opened with a key, which can only be obtained by killing the ghost of Captain Cornelia. You won't be able to break the chest, but if you do manage to open it, it can hold some great loot inside. Now in this showcase, you have probably heard me talk about some mobs which were added in this mod. This creature is called the golden moth, and can be found flying around in the ice arches on the surface of the ice mazes. These little guys are completely peaceful, but if you do kill them, they can drop golden nuggets or ingots. But you can actually capture them if you would like to, with a glass bottle from which they can be placed down as a decoration. The Moor is another mob that can be found on the surface of the ice mazes at night. This fish-like creature is hostile and will jump towards you to deal damage, so make sure to avoid these when roaming at night. If you do want to kill this, it can have a chance to drop fins, and an even rarer chance to drop some slime balls. A third mob that you can find on the surface is the tortured soul. These hostile monsters will only spawn at night, and when it attacks, it can go invisible, as well as have increased movement speed for a short time. Be careful, as when it does this and it manages to attack you, it can deal even more damage and give you the blindness debuff for a short time. Beware when going into the shelter, as tortured souls can spawn in large groups, making exploring this place even harder than it was before. New mobs can also spawn in the underwater section of the ice mazes, one of them being a spinefish. The spinefish can spawn in schools, but they are completely peaceful towards you, so there's no need to be afraid of them. If you do decide to kill them, they can drop raw spinefish, and when it is eaten, you will obtain sharp bones. What's quite a cool mechanic is that spinefish won't be hunted by anglerfish due to their resemblance of being a fish skeleton. Speaking of anglerfish, this is another mob that can spawn in the underwater section of the ice mazes. It is hostile, so it will attack you and will mainly spawn in the day. As I have previously said, when an anglerfish does spawn, a mother of the maze has a 0.5% chance of spawning also. Don't think you'll be safe on the surface of the ice mazes, as the anglerfish can jump out and will attempt to attack you. If it misses, you will be able to run, as the anglerfish can't move when it's out of water and will lay on its side. Despite not being able to move, it won't die if it is out of water, like most other fish. Another mob that can spawn in the underwater section is the Mother of the Maze. As I've already said, this mob can spawn alongside with an anglerfish with a 0.5% chance. This is a mini boss, and when it does spawn, you will first be warned with a message which says you feel a vibration under the ice. Mother of the Maze resembles a large stingray-like creature with something called abyssal amethyst growing on its back, and when it is killed, it will drop abyssal amethyst. It will attack you by attempting to break the ice beneath you with its amethyst growth on its back. One mob that can only spawn in the shelter is the eel, and this is considered a mini-boss due to the amount of health it has. The eel is a strange creature as it won't move like other mobs. It will dive back into the ice and pop out in another location. It can release a powerful roar to push any enemy back, but if you do manage to get close, it will attack you up to 3 times. It will heal itself based on the amount of damage it deals, and you are unable to move the eel whether you are pushing it or whether it is a liquid like water or lava. If you do manage to conquer the eel, it will drop an echo of the ship graveyard. The final mob in this mod is the Ghost of Captain Cornelia, and this is the main boss for Aquamirae. You may have heard me talk about this boss and how it spawns, and it can only spawn when a shell horn has been used. When you spawn the Ghost of Captain Cornelia, you will gain the levitation effect for a short time, and you will also notice some boss music and a unique health bar appear. If you feel like you're not ready for the fight, well, tough, because once you spawn her, you will have to try and kill her, otherwise if you try to run, she can pull you towards her and she can dash towards you. It is recommended to use a shield as she can attack you a lot and fast with some serious damage. Cornelia will also ignore any damage from any ranged attack, so don't bother bringing your bow or crossbow with you. You can deal extra damage to Cornelia with wielded weapons, so if you have any, make sure to use it against her. When you do manage to get her down to at least 20% health, don't celebrate just yet as she will fully regenerate her health, gain levitation, and summon 3 poison chakras. Don't fear though as she can only use this twice. But when Cornelia gains the levitation effect, then anything less than 100 health will orbit around her. Once she gets to around 5% health, she will constantly regenerate up to 5 to 7% of her health, but she will not be able to do this if you inflict her with a weakness debuff. This is the best and recommended way to kill her, otherwise you will need to damage her with a weapon which can deal up to 5% of her max health in a single hit. But this can be done with the terrible sword. When you do finally kill her, she will drop the 3-bolt helmet and a frozen key. She will also have a small chance to drop the coral lance and a sweet lance too, and this is the only way you can obtain these weapons. There are some unique and useful blocks within this mod. The first one we will go through is the frozen chest. As I've mentioned before, this can be found in shelters across your world, and it can only be opened with a frozen key. This block isn't breakable until it has been opened and may contain amazing loot which can include a dagger of greed and collectible paintings. It will definitely include a rune of the storm and an echo of the ship graveyard, along with a lot of nice, valuable loot. Collectible paintings are decorative blocks that depicts Aquamirae locations and creatures. This can be a fun thing to collect if you like collecting things, as there are 4 different paintings in total. Another block unique to this mod is the luminescent lamp, which, as well as a decoration, is a light source which can be placed underwater. The luminescent bubble is another light source that can be placed underwater to give any nearby player a speed boost when swimming. This doesn't have to be placed onto the ground but rather anywhere, so it's floating in the water. Amazing and unique plants spawn all across the ice mazes, some of which are of great use, one of them being Wisteria nivis. This bushy plant can be found growing in the surface part of the ice maze and has a couple of uses. It is used to craft green dye, can be moved around, and can drop sticks and snowballs when broken. A second plant added into Aquamirae is the Oxygilium, and this is an important plant for the player found in the underwater section of the ice mazes. When coming into contact with Oxygilium whilst underwater, it can provide you with water breathing for a short time, but will bud again after some time has passed. This plant can grow up to 10 blocks tall, but won't grow taller if you decide to break it and replant it. You'll have to make it taller yourself. Different coloured Oxygilium may also spawn underwater, and a green cyan bud may bloom, and these will instead drop experience for the player, rather than an underwater breathing effect. Be careful though, as coming into contact with too many Oxygilium may cause the player to get nausea and hallucinations. You can use Oxygilium in a different way when you obtain it, as it can be made into food, sticks, luminescent bubbles, luminescent lamps, and oxygen tanks. The final plant that is included with this mod is called Elodia, which can be found growing underwater. It can usually grow near Oxygilium, can be made into cyan dye, and be picked up and replanted. There are many items in this mod which are very important to the player, one of them being the shell horn. As you've heard me say multiple times in this video, the shell horn is used to summon the ghost of Captain Cornelia. It can be found in a ship when you kill the pillager in the captain's cabin. When you use this item, you will be required to be in the ice maze where there is water nearby as well as being on the surface. The frozen key is another item added into this mod, and as I have previously said, this will be used to open a frozen chest. This can be obtained from killing the ghost of Captain Cornelia. A set of interesting items in this mod are logbooks, and 3 can be found in different parts of the ice mazes: the ship, the tower, and in the shelter. I describe them as interesting as they are great books to read about the lore of the ice mazes, with what happened to Captain Cornelia, the crew, and the monsters you can find within the ice mazes. Another item you may come across is the Scroll of the Dead Sea, which is obtainable from killing the eel. Now this item can be good or bad for you, as activating it will give you a powerful buff or valuable item, but it can give you a bad effect, which can kill you. Another item you may find is a pouch. This useful item can be found in chests in structures across the ice mazes, and when interacted with, it will give some nice items. Echo of the Ship Graveyard can be found in chests across the structures in the ice mazes, as well as drop from some strong mobs. What's quite cool about this item is that when you hold it, it is said you can hear the ambient of the ice maze. Apart from that, it can be used to repair a lot of Aquamirae armour and weapons. Rune of the Storm is a rare item which can only be obtained from looting frozen chests. This item can be used on a weapon in your offhand to give it 33% extra damage whenever it is used against an enemy in cold biomes. This is said that this is the most valuable item you can find in this mod. You can also find 2 music discs, which are both located in chests across the ice mazes. One is called The Horizon by Burt's, and the other is called Forsaken Damage by Crossy. There are some materials in this mod which can be obtained in many ways. One of them is a fin, and this ingredient can be used in many different recipes in crafting, including the Sea Cutter, the Terrible Armour set, and the Sea Stew. Another material that is commonly used in crafting in Aquamirae is Esker, and this can be obtained from killing anglerfish. This can be used to create many things like luminescent lamps, sea casserole, sea stew, and a luminescent bubble. An angler's fang can also be obtained when killing an angler. This can be used to create a terrible sword, bone meal, the terrible armor set, poisoned blade, and a poisoned chakram. Sharp bones is another material, and this can be obtained from either eating raw or cooked spinefish. This is used to create bone meal, or to create the remnant saber. You can also eat the sharp bones, but you will take damage when doing so. Another material is the oxygen tank, and this material is used to craft a 3-bolt suit. This is made when you put 6 iron and 3 oxygilium into crafting like so. Another material is the abyssal amethyst. This valuable material is obtained from the mother of the maze, and can be crafted when you surround an amethyst shard in Echoes of the Ship Graveyard. This can be used to create the fin cutter, abyssal armor, maze rose, Whisper of the Abyss, and the Divider. This final material is called Astral Dust, and this can only be obtained rarely when opening frozen chests. Astral Dust can be made into the Brigante of the Blinding Abyss. Next up is food, and the first food we'll go through is the spinefish. This can only be obtained when a spinefish is killed, or it can be found in the chest in structures in the ice mazes. This can be consumed raw or cooked, but it will give you sharp bones. The sea casserole is a crafting consumable made up of 1 sweet berry, 1 oxygilium, 1 wheat, 1 esker, 2 eggs, and 1 bucket of milk. When this is consumed, it will give you a special effect where you will have increased damage and it reduces ability cooldowns. The sea stew is another craftable consumable made up of more items from the mod. It is crafted with 1 baked potato, 1 esker, 1 cooked spinefish, 1 oxygilium, 1 fin, 1 pufferfish, and 1 bowl. This also gives special effects where it gives increased damage and ability power. The final of the foods is the Poseidon's Breakfast, which is like an enhanced version of the sea stew. This is made up of 1 ink sac, 1 sea candle, 1 nautilus shell, 1 tropical fish, 1 enchanted golden apple, 1 pufferfish, and 1 sea stew. This will significantly increase your ability power and reduce your ability's cooldown. Now before we get into armor, it has special mechanics that I want to explain to you. Class armor and weapons enhance each other when used together, making it more efficient when used. There are also special abilities which can also be enhanced when all of the same class armor is worn. You can split the enhancement when you wear 2 pieces of armor from 2 different sets. This is called a half set. With this, you can combine the ability of 2 different classes and use it as one. A full set ability is when you are wearing a full set of an armor class, which will then give you a different ability. Now that I've told you about the different mechanics in this mod, let's get into the first class of armor, called the Terrible Armor. This is what you should typically get first when crafting armor from the mod. This armor is crafted with iron, fins, angular fangs, and an echo of the ship graveyard for the chest plate. This class has a bonus where you will have less cooldown and more ability power for Sea Wolf class weapons. The half set ability will increase your swimming speed by 120% for 6 seconds if you take damage underwater, and this has a 10-second cooldown. The full set ability will give you the ability that whenever something hits you, it will be poisoned for 4 seconds. The next typical armor class you should try to obtain is a 3-bolt armor. The leggings and boots can be crafted, as well as the chest plate, but this is crafted with 2 blocks of iron, leather, and 2 oxygen tanks. The helmet is only obtained from the ghost of Captain Cornelia. This class bonus gives extra ability power for Sea Wolf class weapons and armor. This half class ability will only work with the helmet and chest plate, where it will provide you with oxygen underwater. The full set ability for this armor will allow you to swim under the water of the ice mazes, as it gives you immunity to the freezing effect. The final armor class you should try to obtain is the Abyssal Armor. This cool looking armor is quite expensive, and you can probably tell by the look of it. Unlike the other previous armor classes, this has 3 special abilities, and this is due to there being 2 different helmets you can obtain. All of this armor is craftable with netherite ingots, abyssal amethyst, and astral dust. The class bonus for this set is that it will give you increased ability power for Sea Wolf class weapons. The half set ability for this is that it will give you 25% extra armor and plus 4 armor toughness. The full set class ability if you're wearing the Helm of the Blinding Abyss is that if you take fatal damage, your death is delayed for 90 seconds and you will deal 80% less damage. However, the full set ability for the Tiara of the Blinding Abyss is that it will blind nearby hostile creatures, which will decrease their movement speed by 50%. Weapons are another big part of this mod, and there are many. The first one I'll go through is the Terrible Sword. The Terrible Sword is made with 1 Angler's Fang, 2 iron ingots, 2 Echoes of the Ship Graveyard, 1 stick, and 1 Eye of Ender. This sword can deal a high amount of critical damage, but if the damage doesn't kill the enemy in 1 hit, it will deal 1 damage to you, which does ignore armor. The next sword is called the Fin Cutter, and this weapon is made with 3 fins, 1 diamond, 1 stick, 1 abyssal amethyst, and 2 Echoes of the Ship Graveyard. This sword has a special ability where the least amount of hearts you have, the more damage you do. So this would be 15% extra damage for each heart you are missing, with a maximum of 150% extra damage. This next weapon is called the Poison Blade, and this has an ability to poison the enemy for 5 seconds if it is hit. This is made with 4 Angler's Fang, 2 iron ingots, and 1 stick. Remnant Saber is next, and this weapon has the ability where it will deal 100% more damage if used underwater. This is simply made with 1 leather, 1 stick, and 2 sharp bones. The Divider is a more powerful weapon where it can quickly inflict heavy damage on enemies with lots of health, ideal for bosses. What it does is that it will reduce the target's health by 5% for 10 seconds, and this can only be applied up to a maximum of 10 stacks. This is made with 2 netherite ingots, 2 Echoes of the Ship Graveyard, 4 abyssal amethysts, and 1 stick. The Whisper of the Abyss is a powerful weapon made with 3 abyssal amethysts, 2 sticks, 2 netherite ingots, and 2 Echoes of the Ship Graveyard. This weapon has the ability to reduce the target's armor by 10% for 10 seconds, and this can be stacked up to a maximum of 5 stacks. The next weapon is the Dagger of Greed, and this is described as a cursed weapon due to many reasons. This can't be repaired and doesn't have a crafting recipe, so the only way to find this is by looting chests in the ice maze structures. If you decide to hit villagers with this weapon, they will drop emeralds. However, you have a chance for a bad omen effect to be inflicted onto you, so make sure you are prepared in case a raid starts. This next weapon is a little different to the rest I've been going through, and this is called the Poison Chakra. This weapon is made with 4 diamonds and 4 angler fangs. What this weapon will do is orbit around you for 30 seconds, and any mob that is hit by it will be inflicted with poison for 30 seconds, whilst also getting damaged by the original hit. The Maze Rose is similar to the Poison Chakra and can be made with 4 diamonds and 4 abyssal amethysts. This will also orbit you, but it will also circle in its own way for 40 seconds, dealing melee damage to anything it hits. The Coral Lance is another weapon in this mod and has a small chance to drop from the ghost of Captain Cornelia. This special weapon gives a class bonus where it will give Sea Wolf class armor 50% more ability power. Not only this, its ability is that it will deal double the amount of damage to creatures in the ice maze. The final weapon in this mod is Sweet Lance, and again only has a small chance to drop from the ghost of Captain Cornelia. This weapon will replace the Coral Lance in the months of December and January. You can actually eat this, but instead of it disappearing, it will instead reduce its durability. This festive weapon doesn't have an ability, but does have a looting 1 enchantment. That's it from me today. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Thank you to Dragonclaw Music and Games for suggesting this mod for me to showcase. I really enjoyed showcasing this mod as it really is unique with its abilities, weapons, bosses, and I really love the fact it has its lore, which you can find. I'll leave all the dependent mods in the description as well as this mod for you all to go and check out for yourselves. I hope you have a great day and I'll catch you all in the next video.